Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to a wonderful place, a wonderful park next to a wonderful wetlands that's going to get wonderfully restored. My name's Drew Bartlett. I'm going to MC this event. We've got a number of incredible speakers that I can't wait to introduce, but I'd like to do a few introductions before we get started. From the South Florida Water Management District Governing Board, we have Chauncey Goss, Charlie Martinez, and Ben Butler. They're my bosses, so they're keeping an eye on me. From Miami-Dade, I got some more bosses here. I got Mayor Daniela Levine Cava. I got Commissioner Danielle Cohen-Higgins, Commissioner Juan Carlos Bermudez. Where are you? And then I have Senator Renee Garcia here. Where is she? And then, of course, everybody knows our Chief Bay Officer, Arella Begay, here from Miami-Dade. From our host town, Cutler Bay, we have Mayor Tim Meerbot. We have Council Member Richard Ramirez. There he is. Council Member B.J. Duncan. Council Member Susie Lord. And then the Town Manager, Rafael Casalas. From Homestead, we have Councilwoman Erica Avila. And then from Rep. Carlos Jimenez's office, we have Carlos Van Hool. From Senator Marco Rubio's office, we have Carolina Gonzalez. And then from State Representative Jim Mooney, we have Elsa Rodriguez. And then unmistakably from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, we're very honored to have down from the South Atlantic Division, Brigadier General Dan Hibner. A great supporter of Everglades restoration. Welcome, General. And then, of course, our friend Colonel James Booth. And then our friend Lieutenant Colonel Todd Polk. There he is. And then from Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, we have James Erskine. Thank you, James, for coming. Anybody else that I'd overlooked? Any elected officials that happened to show up at the last minute? Okay. Well, welcome to the event. It is great to do restoration for Biscayne Bay, and we've got a number of distinguished speakers that I'm really looking forward to introducing. But the first, without any further ado, we need to introduce the Mayor of Miami-Dade County, Daniela Levine Cava.
Thank you. Well, something big must be happening here today because we have a great crowd. And I'm thinking I have been involved in making this happen since I came into office in 2014, thanks to the good counsel of Sean McCracken. But many people exceeded that. This goes back 20 years, and I'd like to especially call out Craig Grossenbacher from Durham. He should have a water title. He's our water guru. We'll call him our water guru. And we have our water princess, also known as our Chief Bay Officer, Arella Begay, also 20 years. And I know many others who have been working on this for so long. And definitely there was a time when we thought it would not happen. Who remembers that time? Yes, we were in despair. Yes, and Janet Gill, our eel lady, too. We were in despair. But something happened. The earth shifted, and here we are. It's incredible. So I'm very excited to be here. And I want to give also special acknowledgement to our former Durham director who shepherded this project for so long, Mr. Lee Hefty. Lee, where are you? Where's Lee? There he is. He's grown some hair since we last saw him, too. So it's very fitting in so many ways that we're here together. I did order the weather specially because I'm particularly prone to no-see-ums. I did not want to have any of them this morning. And to our commissioner of the district, who now has the leadership role in this beautiful area and is already doing so much to enhance this footprint. So thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing for our environment, for our bay, for our restoration of the Everglades. So proud that you're my commissioner. Thank you so much. Danielle Cohen-Higgins. All right. So tomorrow is World Water Day. Social media, are you paying attention? Okay. By the way, today is Poetry Day. I don't know if we made notes, so Lauren, please, I thought of that first thing this morning. So it's very appropriate that we are accelerating change right here, right now, for the future protection of our bay, of our environment, of our coast, of our future. And we in Miami-Dade County are totally committed to accelerating change, prioritizing these necessary improvements to water quality. We could not do it alone. We can only do it with a strong, leaderful South Florida Water Management District. Let's hear it for, we have Chauncey Goss, our chair, Charlie Martinez, our hero, Drew Bartlett, our MC, he's really like MC for the whole show. Our secretary for the State Department of Environmental Protection, Sean Hamilton, of course, you're here with us, and to our incredible Army Corps. And they're unmistakable, I think is what Drew said, but truly they are what's the word? Irrepressible. All right. So it's only in partnership with our state and federal partners, should have practiced that line, it's not in my talking points, that we can get this important piece done. It is the last piece of our Everglades restoration for this area, and really a model for the world. Of course, I live very close to the pump station up at Deering. I watch that with joy. Every time I pass by, I get a little lift, and I've seen the transformation that that project has made. I've seen the river otters. I've seen the change in the tree canopy. I've canoed up into the mangroves and gotten stuck. So, so not only is this a treasure, not only is it pristine and beautiful, but it's also our economy. The environment, we know, is our economy here. Irela calls this the Blue Heart, the Blue Heart. But Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands, BBCW, is going to provide increased water storage in wetlands east of the coastal ridge. It is essential for three main reasons. It will protect us against salt water intrusion into our critical fresh water supply, the Biscayne Bay aquifer. It will increase resiliency against sea level rise, particularly in southern Miami-Dade County, and we're all about that. And it will restore an important wetland ecosystem and natural conditions in southern Biscayne Bay. It's going to rehydrate the largest amount of wetlands, roughly 1,700 acres, and restore more natural salinity along 3 miles of shoreline than any other project. So for the past 2 decades, 20 years, folks, the county has been deeply invested and committed to moving this forward. We know, again, it's critical to our ecology, our economy. It's a no-brainer. It is truly a no-brainer, but it did take some new brains to get in to make sure it could happen. It requires substantial dedication of staff resources, including land acquisition, modeling, and funding, including Miami-Dade County. Miami-Dade County put some skin in the game right here to make this happen. And I'm so grateful, again, to leadership of our Chief Bay Officer. She's been on this project from the time she served on the governing board of the Water Management District. But as her role in our administration, she's continued to advocate. And then Craig, the dedication of in Durham for 20 years. You did not believe you would live to see this day, but here you are. And I also want to thank, again, everyone in the county, our Regulatory and Economic Resources Department, DERM used to be a department, still mighty, Environmental Resources Management, our Water and Sewer Department, our Public Works, our partners in the Parks Department. Yay, yes, our Parks Director is here, Maria Nardi. Yes, this is a great park that we're helping. And our National Parks Conservation Association, and as I've mentioned, the Water Management District and the Army Corps. So for everyone's partnership and support and collaboration for making this possible, we will all be the beneficiaries and future generations to come. Thank you so very much, everyone.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Next we have my partner at the Army Corps of Engineers, Colonel James Booth. Come on up, my friend.
Thanks, Drew. I appreciate it. And good morning to everyone that's here today. And Drew, South Florida Water Management District team, distinguished leaders, thanks for having Jacksonville District here to celebrate with you at the ribbon cutting or for this project for groundbreaking. And I think it's really important to talk about not only the partnership that we have between Jacksonville District for the Army Corps of Engineers and South Florida Water Management District, but also the progress that we're constantly seeing throughout Everglades restoration. The team does a tremendous job usually writing up this great script for me that I'm really good at jumping in and reading. Today I decided I'm going to go a little more Drew and talk about what I've seen over the last year and a half of being in command of Jacksonville District. And getting into progress, the first thing that I did the day after assuming command was come down and do a ribbon cutting ceremony, or get to attend one of these with Drew and his team up by Lake Okeechobee. It was a water or stormwater treatment area and pump station, if I remember correctly. And that was just the beginning of many invitations that I got from Mr. Sean Cooley to come and participate in a lot of South Florida Water Management District's projects, either groundbreakings or ribbon cutting ceremonies. And it is just impressive what the state of Florida has in South Florida Water Management District. And like I said, it just hasn't stopped and continues to keep going. One of the other things that the speech that the team drafted for me gave the one visual that I will stick with, and that's of a bullet train. And it basically, the comments and what I'll say is partnering with South Florida Water Management District is kind of like being on a ride in a bullet train. You know, if you're looking out the window, you're just seeing milestones just shoot past. And you're losing track. It's like a blur, and you're just trying to keep up. And that's absolutely correct. And I really appreciate being part of that. But I also have to say that sometimes I'll give a different visual that the team did not give me, but I'll give you. Sometimes it feels like being hit by a bullet train. And this is really good for the state of Florida. And it's often because of the relentless pursuit of project progress that Drew's on the phone with me, the South Florida Water Management District staff are on the phone with Jacksonville District saying, come on, let's go. We got to keep moving. We got to get things done. One recent example is just a simple memorandum of agreement for another project that we're working on. And the Corps of Engineers and our finest government bureaucracy says this memorandum of agreement should be done in a lightning fast 120 days. We're going to use a template, and it'll be super fast. And Drew calls me up and says, Colonel Booth, I think we can do it in 7 days. And I said, Drew, I know you have a couple of attorneys, but the Corps of Engineers has 100. And when that document gets up to South Atlantic Division, they're going to notice, and they did, that the draft had the Army Corps of Engineers, where I think maybe our attorneys wanted just Army Corps of Engineers. And clearly, we need to take another week to take that document down to Jacksonville District and agree that we should change the, take it away or add it in, go back to the division and say, yes, we agree. Wait for division's approval to go back down to South Florida Water Management District, say, do you agree with the change of the deletion of the? And once they agree, then we'll send it back up to division and say they agree, so we can actually get instructions down to sign the memorandum of agreement. And we got through it. It wasn't 7 days. I think it took us about a month. There was probably a few other words that were changed. But I get after it I make that comment to describe if it doesn't have advocacy, sometimes bureaucracy is going to get in the way of progress. And what the state of Florida has in South Florida Water Management District is that relentless advocacy to keep projects going for Everglades restoration. And we're seeing that here today. And so what I would like to say also really quickly is that we are moving into that progress. We talk about Biscayne Bay and coastal wetlands and where we are today with this project, but also as we move forward with Cutler Wetlands, Jacksonville District, the Army Corps of Engineers is getting after other pump stations and spreader canals that are going to help continue to restore the environment and get that incremental benefit. I think what's important for everyone to understand is Everglades restoration doesn't just snap in 10 years and we're all done and then it all starts to work. Every single increment, every single project that we complete has a major impact to the environment. We see the benefits as soon as that project is done, sometimes even while that project's being constructed. And South Florida Water Management District has a major impact on that, and this project is just one great example. And so kind of as I close, I will say there's more to come. Jacksonville District is in the planning stages for BBC, and I'll do my best. Biscayne Bay and southeastern Everglades ecosystem restoration. We're sorry, I can say BBC a lot. Trying to spell it out or lay it all out is tough. We're going to be getting through the study phase in that in around 2025 so that it's available for Congress to approve to move forward into the final design and construction sometime maybe in their actions in 2026 should Congress so choose. So we're seeing the efforts here. We're seeing the efforts that are coming down the line. What I'd ask is everybody recognize that we're all part of the same goal. Right, the Everglades restoration is critical for the habitat, as you see here. Everglades restoration is critical for the wildlife that lives in that habitat, and as the mayor mentioned, it's critical for the human environment as well. And that all can exist at the same time, but it takes everyone here. And so we've got media here, we've got staff members here, we've got folks that are involved on the political spectrum, we've got folks that are involved at the city, county, state, and federal levels and agencies that drive these projects forward. If you haven't been involved and just happen to be here, what I would say as I close out is jump onto the tracks. I'll leave you with the last visual. And it's not Drew hitting us with a speeding bullet train, but there's thousands of folks at the South Florida Water Management District pushing that train forward, getting it to the speed. There's over 1,000 folks at Jacksonville District Army Corps of Engineers pushing that train forward. Jump on the tracks, help out. If there's friction, help us remove it. If you're here because you tell stories to the public about where that money is going to be spent in the environmental impacts that we're having, please help us tell that story. Everybody's got a part in this, and thank you for being here today and celebrating where we are with this project. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Colonel, and thanks for the story, and thank you, Colonel and General, for continuing to take my calls. They have a lot of work to do in the South Atlantic Division and Jacksonville District. I think, Colonel, you told me you're flying to D.C. about Puerto Rico right after this. I understand. You guys are very busy. All right. Now let's talk back to Miami-Dade County. We have Commissioner Danielle Cohen-Higgins making a few words. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to the beautiful South Miami-Dade County and the beautiful District 8. Where you are sitting right now and what you are surrounded by is so indicative of this community in South Dade. And I want to thank all of you for being here to be a part of such an important project. Listen, I'm new to this role. I have not been working on this project for the last 20 years. I am carrying the mantle of our Madam Mayor who fought for this, of our Chief Bay Officer, and so many of you that are sitting here that have worked on this for the last 20 years. But my message to you this morning and to everyone that may be watching is that you don't need to be an expert in SERP or in BB Shear or in Everglades restoration or Biscayne Bay restoration, excuse me, or many of these concepts that you hear and that will be spoken about today, all you need to understand is how it feels when you breathe in and you smell fresh air, when you enjoy the water and you enjoy it being clean, when you're at the parks with your family and you enjoy an environment that is beautiful and pristine, and you understand how important it is to protect that. As the commissioner for this area, I will continue to do everything I can. We have fought many fights. There are more fights to come. And as the colonel or the general said, it does take all of us. It takes all of us to plug in. It takes all of us to continue to fight to protect these natural and precious resources. And as the commissioner for the district, you can count on me to do exactly that. There are too many of you to thank this morning, but I do thank all of you for being here and for understanding and recognizing the significance of this extremely important day, not only for South Dade and District 8, but for the entirety of Miami-Dade County and our environment. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner, and congratulations on your mastery of new acronyms. All right. Next, we have my governing board member from the area, Charlie Martinez. Come on up.
Thank you, Drew. Good morning, everybody. And I'm not going to go and say thank you to everybody. Drew has already done that. But I do specifically want to say thank you to my fellow board members that have always supported the projects down here in Miami-Dade County, and of course the professional men and women that make up the South Florida Water Management District. They are unbelievable. Thank you to our partners at the Corps. Thank you to Secretary Hamilton and the DEP. But I do want to specially thank the leadership in Miami-Dade County. You see, it's not very often that we in Dade County can boast about our leadership. And Commissioner Cohen-Higgins and our mayor, Daniela Levine Cava, have been an absolute breath of fresh air, and we are in good hands with them. Thank you, ladies. And of course, I have to thank our esteemed Governor DeSantis. He has provided us everything we need so that we can do projects like this. When he first took office, he committed $2.5 billion. Everybody said that was going to be a little bit too optimistic. Well, not only did he meet the $2.5 billion, he went over that amount. And then this past month, he now committed under his new term to $3.5 billion. So thank you, Governor DeSantis. Projects like this are the reason I accepted the nomination when Governor DeSantis called me. As a young boy, my brothers and I, my dad would take us out to Biscayne Bay, and we would either just do simple things as go swimming on the bay or get a couple of lobster. Although my favorite thing was always trying to sneak into one of the houses in Stillsville and dive off of it, and always be watching for Marine Patrol. As soon as they come, then we'd get back on our little skiff and run away. Biscayne Bay is our crown jewel. It is our Mount Rushmore. It is our Central Park, and we need to take care of it. And while this is a great project, it is not the final project. This is only a piece. You see, restoration works as a system. And the definition of a system is a set of related parts working together as a whole for a specific purpose. And so the continuation of this project is BBCR. And we need to make sure that BBCR is done, and is done in the optimal way that our design professionals can do it. Unfortunately, it is somewhat in peril. It is in peril because of an ill-fated decision made by a few Dade County commissioners last year that approved a development on a swath of land whereby this project could possibly be going. But the fight may not be over. So I want to finish by making a plea to those commissioners. Listen to your leader, the commissioner of the district. Listen to your mayor. Listen to all the professionals that have said what they have said and have asked you to do the right thing. if you're given the opportunity to prioritize Biscayne Bay and the environment over special interests, take it. BBCW alone has spent 13 years and over $400 million in the making of taxpayer money. We can either make that a capital investment or we can make it an expense. I ask you that you make it a capital investment. Help us, don't work against us. Help us to remove obstacles, don't put obstacles in our way. And soon, Biscayne Bay will regain the health that I knew as a little boy. So in closing, Alligator Ron is not here today, so I'm going to borrow a word from his book and say, long live the Everglades and God bless America.
Thank you, boss. All right. Next on the agenda is Sean Hamilton, our esteemed Secretary of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here in South Florida. To echo the mayor's point, I think we can all say long gone are the days of despair. They are way, I think they caught the bullet train, Colonel. I'm pretty sure those days are somewhere way in the wind. But first, I do want to echo just all the congratulatory and rightfully deserved accolades to the South Florida Water Management District. I think the board's leadership, and definitely under the direction of Drew Bartlett, has set the expectations for what can be done when you work hard in a relentless pursuit of excellence and achieving more now for environment. So I know they would quickly say they are the figureheads, but behind them there are a couple of thousand of hard work individuals. And as always, I think we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge their hard work first. And so again, thank you to all of the folks at the Water Management District and all the staff and the teams with the Corps and the district for all of the work you will do once this tent's taken down and once these cameras are gone. So again, thank you, and I'm hard for appreciation. So a key priority of DEP in the South Florida Water Management District, and of course Governor DeSantis, and definitely with the support of the Florida legislature, has been and will continue to be improving the water quality in our state and definitely making measurable and meaningful progress on Everglades restoration. Again, as the mayor noted, it's not just critical from an environmental perspective, but definitely it is entrenched in the sustainability and health and welfare of our communities. And so since 29, as Charlie noted, $3.3 billion has been dedicated to Everglades and water quality restoration across the state. And as a result of that unprecedented investments, more than, I'll call it the 50 now, right? More than 50 projects have broken ground or achieved milestones. And I know the Colonel gets phone calls from Drew. For every one you get, I get two. I get two asking about, hey, I just talked to the Colonel and he's game if we can come up with X or if we can do this. And so I haven't blocked them yet, and you haven't either, so I think we'll continue to have groundbreakings. And so, Drew, thank you for your persistence and your leadership. But, as we think about the start of this construction, the final phase of, again, a 20-year investment by some for the Biscayne Bay coastal wetland projects, it represents another step, right? And there have been a lot of steps, but I think, as you can see from this turnout, every project means something unique to everybody who's invested in it, from a community, from a life's works perspective. And so as I look forward, and I love participating in these individually because I get to see firsthand what it takes, the commitment from a community, from an organizational perspective, and to what Mayor's point, what it means to see these things happening, a life's work. And so if you take 20 years, you multiply it by all of the years for each one of these projects, all of the investments, again, it's well worth it. And I love seeing the commitment, but more importantly, I love seeing the results. And as you think about Everglades as a whole, you think about what we're seeing, and to the Colonel's point, what you're seeing as measurable indicators when you see the salinity in the bay hitting targets for the first time generations probably, you start to get an appreciation. You start to build on that momentum and know that each one of these projects, individually they matter, but collectively, we're leaving Florida in a better place than what we inherited. So again, our work is not done. We have a long way to go. But as you can see from the commitment from the Governor DeSantis, and as Charlie noted, calling for now $3.5 billion for Everglades restoration of water quality throughout the state for the next 4 years. I get the sense 3.5, just like the 2.5 before, that is a target. And so I look forward to coming back 4 years going like, wow, you know, not only did we hit 3.5, but Drew's got the biggest pockets in any other person in the entire state. And to that aspect, the governor's asked for $610 million this year alone in just Everglades restoration. So, and I think context is important. That is the largest, that budget, the budget that we're looking toward, will be the largest environmental budget in the history of the state of Florida, just to give it context. And again, it's not possible without the commitment and the partnership from, definitely from the Corps, definitely from the district, and definitely from our partners here at the county. It's this progress, it's this meaningful enhancements that we're seeing that gives the legislature and the government the comfort to trust us to be good stewards with those dollars. Again, thank you for a job well done, and thank you for having me, and I look forward to many more groundbreakings in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Next, the Superintendent of Biscayne Bay National Park, Penny Del Bene. Make your way up here, and the beneficiary of this incredible project. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Good morning, everyone. It is wonderful to see so many people today from our community who are supportive of a healthy Biscayne Bay. It is a pleasure to be here to commemorate this historic groundbreaking event. This day is a culmination of more than 20 years of cooperation and is only possible with the incredible partnership between the South Florida Water Management District, Miami-Dade County, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I want to thank the Seminole Tribe of Florida and the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians of Florida for their continued support of Everglades restoration, and express gratitude to the National Park Service's South Florida Natural Resource Center's participation in providing expertise in hydrological and water quality modeling, along with other ecological analysis to help make informed decisions. And finally, I offer a heartfelt thank you to our elected officials and our NGO partners who continue to support this initiative. It is exciting to witness the groundbreaking for the Cutler Wetlands Flowway component, which will complete the comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, Phase 1 Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands Project. The other two being the Deering Estate component, already operational, and the L31 Flowway near completion. When all three components are completed, we will be much closer to attaining our 5 mutually developed and agreed upon objectives of redistributing freshwater flow to minimize point source discharges, reestablishing shoreline nurseries, restoring coastal habitats, restoring appropriate salinity levels, and providing improved freshwater quality, quantity, timing, and distribution to Biscayne Bay and Biscayne National Park. I look forward to the future success of SERP BBCW Phase 2, also known as Biscayne Bay Southeastern Everglades Restoration, as we work together to identify alternatives to stay the path of restoring the ecosystem of the bay, which will benefit our public health, safety, and the economy in South Florida. Biscayne Bay has been many things to many people, attracting explorers and adventurers, residents, and visitors from around the world. As a truly healthy, functioning ecosystem, Biscayne Bay will continue to be a source of economic prosperity and vitality and a place of great recreational, educational, and spiritual value. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Penny. I don't know. Should I introduce this next person? Arella, I know how to pronounce your name now. I remember when I first met you, it took a while, but Arella Begay, everyone knows. She's been fighting for this a long time. I'm really pleased to introduce you, Arella. Come up and say some words.
Wow, a podium I actually like. Good morning, buenos dias. It's been a long, long time coming, but I knew this day would come. 4 years after Congress authorized the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, the South Florida Water Management District Governing Board agreed that we had to step up the pace. Sound familiar, guys? Well, we had to step up the pace to restore America's Everglades. And we did that. We got creative with financing and set an expedited course to reaffirm the federal, state, and local commitment to approve Accelerate, fast-tracking 8 projects, including the Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands Phase 1 project. This project is critical for Miami-Dade County's resilience and its future. Since then, there have been some stops and starts, but today I'm here to be grateful. I'm grateful for the small chorus of advocates from NPCA, Audubon, and many others who together have been steadfast for years, working behind the scenes to keep Biscayne Bay restoration front and center. I'm grateful for the past and present governing board members. Nick, I see you back there. Thanks for being my partner back then. Working behind the scenes, and also thanking district staff. So many colonels and core staff, state and federal leaders, because it takes governors who get it, back then and today, making those investments and commitments. Our mayor and past mayors, our county commissioners, past and present. I have to give a shout out to one of the most ardent advocates for this project, approving many urgings along with you, Madam Mayor, when you were Commissioner Rebecca Sosa. They listened, all of you listened to our countless meetings and advocacy on keeping this project moving forward. And lastly, I am grateful to the business community, who early on recognized the return on investment that these projects provide, because everyone knows that in South Florida, the environment is the economy. Thank you very much for this day, and I feel like it's my birthday.
Thanks, Arella. Great words. It's just such an honor to be here with you today. Next, we have from the Biscayne Bay Commission, Chairman of that commission, Noah Valenstein, here for a few words. Thank you, Noah.
Thank you, Drew. First, I would say, what a dream team. On behalf of the commission, your leadership is phenomenal. Miami-Dade is special not just for our resources, as Charlie mentioned. Biscayne Bay really is the crown jewel of South Florida. However, Miami-Dade is really the crown jewel of communities and economy of the Americas. And what makes the effort here in South Florida for restoring Biscayne Bay and the Everglades so special is that our governor, our mayor, our leadership is showing that the two don't have to be against each other, that you can protect your environment, and that actually helps you build one of the world's best economies. And I think that is the single greatest message our governor has had, is that protecting our environment is leading the way in making Florida have the #1 economy in the U.S. And you see that right behind us with boats. I know the National Marine Manufacturing Association had an economic analysis. They showed here in Miami-Dade, our Biscayne Bay, a healthy Biscayne Bay, directly resulted in 10% of the economy for Miami-Dade. It actually registered upwards of nearing 2% of all of Florida. And that again shows you how intertwined those two things are. So from our seat on the train at the commission, or our seat at the train at the Bonefish and Tarpon Trust, I can't tell you how important that leadership is. I know we had recent meetings talking about our wish list of things. Could we get funding every year for Biscayne Bay? It was almost before we could even ask. The governor had approved funding. The mayor had approved matching funding. We also had requested, can we have more flexibility, more opportunities to get grant funding? And thanks to the governor and secretary's leadership, I know you're already stewarding through this session, more groundbreaking legislation to make the environment a priority here in Florida. We know that's a huge lift, and thank you so much for your leadership. Lastly, on behalf of the Bonefish and Tarpon Trust, this is a livelihood of so many people. It used to be a rarity that you would have environmental organizations talking about how important our natural resources are, both for the economy, our livelihood, and way of life. Here in South Florida, that seems like it just means you're a Floridian. And for that, from Bonefish and Tarpon Trust and your leadership, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. And now our host for the event from Cutler Bay, Mayor Tim Meerbot.
Good morning, everybody. Let me just first say it's just a complete honor to be here. I mean, there's so much hard work that has gone into this project and in projects like it, and I just think everybody here has to feel very, very proud. So let me be the first to say, Aurelia, happy birthday, and may you have very many more. Okay. Cutler Bay is, I guess in the grand scheme of things, we're probably a small part of this overall project. We're ground zero for a lot of things, Back Bay study this project and many, many others. But they say you have to think globally and act locally. And so first of all, I'd like to say thank you for the partnership that we have with all the agencies here. It's the Department of Environmental Protection, South Florida Water Management, DERM, the Army Corps of Engineers. All those are working together in a partnership like I've never seen before. When I first became mayor, if I wanted to have a meeting with the Army Corps, quite honestly, it was very difficult. And now it's not. It's night and day difference because I think everybody finally gets it. And that's really what the job of local officials like myself is number one is make sure that we look out for the livelihood of our residents, and the environment is by far one of the most important things that we need to be gardening. A lot of people out there want to go ahead and put their self-interest in front of the environment, and we have to make sure that we stop them and do the right thing. Cutler Bay is a proud partner of that. We've taken our own action to do that. Cutler Bay was forced with a developer who wanted to put 450 units in our city. We could have let that happen, or we could have done the right thing and said, no, they're not making any more green space, and we took it over and we bought it. Another 8 acres on Cutler Bay had the exact same thing. They wanted to put 29 little McMansions there. And Cutler Bay did the right thing again. We says, no, they're not making any more green space. We're going to take it. Right now, Cutler Bay is the largest landowner on Old Cutler, and we have green space there and want to keep it green space there. So we want to make sure, we want to be, again, there's 32 cities in Dade County, and we're just a part of the bigger picture, or there may be more, 34, I'm sorry. There's 34. But we want to make sure that Cutler Bay is the poster child of what you need to do. You need to have a partnership with our partners in the county and everyone else. We want to be the poster child for protecting the environment and doing the right thing. Guys, thank you for being in Cutler Bay. I'm excited about this project. And as always, God bless America, and God bless Cutler Bay, and thank you, Governor DeSantis, for putting this money forward for this project. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. Now I'd like to introduce a longtime public servant for Miami's environment, Mr. Craig Grossenbacher, whose leadership over at Durham.
Thank you, Drew. Good morning, everyone. I also feel like this is Arella's birthday. Happy birthday, Arella. Maybe mine, too, a little bit. So, there's been a lot of talk today about the coordination, the interagency coordination, and from my perspective, I've been involved in this project for more than 20 years, since the Army Corps assembled the project delivery team for Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands, interagency group of county, state, federal agencies, and tribal government officials working on this project. It's been an extraordinary ride for me on this project. And I think that it would not be an overstatement in terms of describing the level of cooperation and coordination. From my perspective, it's been extraordinary, in particular between the district, the Army Corps, and Durham. And I've over the last couple decades, really gotten to know a bunch of the folks up in Jacksonville and the district, and colleagues, great friends now. It's just been really a special privilege for me to be working with them. A great group of professionals. I just can't say enough about them. And as someone mentioned, I didn't think today would ever come for me here, and so I'm just really glad to be here and very appreciative of the project. You know, this is one component, as folks have mentioned, of the overall project. But in terms of Biscayne Bay coastal wetlands, it's the most significant piece. We're talking about all of the wetlands to the north of us here and restoring salinities along more than 3 miles of the mangrove shoreline. Durham has been involved in environmental restoration projects in Biscayne Bay going back many decades, but we've never done anything on the scale of what we're talking about today. Nothing has ever come close to this. As our mayor mentioned, more than 1,700 acres of mangrove wetlands will be rehydrated, and we'll be restoring more natural salinities along over 3 miles of coast. So it's just a big milestone for me. You know, there's a famous saying in Everglades restoration that we can credit to Dr. Don Bosch at the University of Maryland. He's a physical oceanographer, been involved in Everglades restoration for many years, and he says, restoring the Everglades is not brain surgery or rocket science. It's far more complicated than that. And and for me, this project has had more than its share of complications, and going to something that Arella mentioned when her team and others helped with the Expedite project, the Accelerate project, where we identified 8 projects that would be accelerated and built out in front of the Everglades Restoration Project. Ironically, this was one of the pieces that was supposed to be built first. This piece, this pump station, the spreader canal, as well as the pump station at Deering. The Deering Estate pump station, as you all know, was constructed. It's been in operation for more than 10 years. But this piece, because of some of these complications, is now coming last. But it is the biggest and best piece, and will provide the greatest benefits, will divert the most water. The pump station here at over 400 CFS, cubic feet per second, is 4 times larger than any other pump station in the project. So very significant thing. And I just wanted to take a moment to mention and acknowledge and publicly thank some of my colleagues in the other agencies that were part of the original planning effort for Biscayne Bay coastal wetlands going back 15, 20 years ago, when the core planning was being developed for the project. It took 10 years for the project delivery team to come up with the design and the environmental impact statement and project report for this project, and then another 10 years, and here we are after that. But there's just a few folks that I really need to mention. Some of them have retired since, but just giants in this project, and I really need to publicly acknowledge and thank them. And so, in no particular order, from NOAA, Dr. Joan Browder, Dr. Joe Seraphy, and Dr. Ed Kearns. Incredible team from NOAA. And many other people, of course, but the people I'm mentioning are just some of the people that provided tremendous science and perspective and vision for this particular project. So, and from the Army Corps, an engineer who's moved on, I think he works in Texas now, Mark Schaefer, incredible engineer, hydraulics person from the Army Corps of Engineers, working at the Jacksonville district at the time. From the Water Management District, Rick Allman, who's since retired, and in a prior life, he was one of Durham's chief water quality scientists and experts at Biscayne Bay. A tremendous resource, Rick Allman. And also, I see Bram Sharkey in here today, and I just have to say something for Bram. District scientist on the ground all the time here, going through these wetlands, retrieving sondes and water quality monitoring data, working with the county, Durham, and PROS and the other county agencies to obtain this data, this water quality data that's so important for the adaptive management of the project. When these projects are put online, they're not usually exactly right. We might have to do some tweaking, modify operations of a pump station, whatever it might be, and through Bram's efforts, we achieve that data that really helps us refine the operations of some of these features. A great example of that is what has happened at the Charles Deering Estate, where through adaptive management and that monitoring, we have modified operations of that feature and greatly enhanced the environmental benefits of that. So think of some other agencies. My own agency, Steve Blair, since retired at Durham, huge in this project. Fish and Wildlife Service, Patrick Pitts, and Steve Traxler. Tremendous. Patrick we were hoping he would come down for this. He's been retired, but he was elsewhere today. So I'm sure I'm missing at least one or two entities. Oh, Biscayne National Park, Sarah Bellman. Sarah Bellman oversaw, among many other things, the water quality monitoring, the salinity monitoring in Biscayne Bay and the nearshore areas that was so important in not only to monitor what is happening in the bay in terms of salinity, and as you all know, sometimes we would have hypersaline events, water getting as saline as 45 practical salinity units in the dry season here, when 100 years ago the west side of the bay was essentially freshwater. So Sarah ran the monitoring program for many years out of Biscayne. She's out of town. She couldn't be here today, but she has probably forgotten more about water quality monitoring than I could ever know. So just a tremendous asset to the team, Sarah Bellman. Are there any agencies that I've missed? I'm sure I have. Just give me one moment. I just want to make sure I didn't forget any of the agencies. I think that's it. So I just want to say thank you to my leadership, Lee Hefty, Rashida Stambouli, Lourdes Gomez, our department director, our mayor, and our chief bay officer, and all the folks in the district and the Army Corps that we've been working on this with the extraordinary coordination. It's just been great. So thank you.
All right. Our last speaker, certainly representing who we all need as public servants, as people that work on Everglades restoration, is our advocates. And we have a great one here with us today from Audubon, Kelly Cox.
Thanks, Drew. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kelly Cox. I'm the Director of Everglades Policy with Audubon, Florida, and I'm also co-chair of the Everglades Coalition. And it's my pleasure to speak at this groundbreaking today. And I was telling Drew earlier, I'm pretty sure if you attend 12 groundbreakings, you get one free. So I hope everyone brought their punch cards today. Got a lot of momentum in the Everglades space. And I just briefly wanted to touch on the historic flow. Historically, we used to have flow from the Everglades over and through the Miami Rock Ridge and out into Biscayne Bay behind us. And of course, over time, this water has been interrupted, and that's caused numerous unintended consequences for the region. As a result, Biscayne Bay still receives too little fresh water during the dry season and too much fresh water during the wet season, which has altered the salinity regime of this once thriving estuary. And we've seen the bay suffer. Fish kills, algae blooms, seagrass die-offs, declines in our sport fisheries, and loss of habitat for our iconic wading bird species. It's an all too familiar tale for our neglected coasts across the state. But for years, our advocates, our agencies, our elected officials, and our scientists have called for change. And that's exactly what this project aims to do. It aims to provide needed change for Biscayne Bay. And this effort is not just important for birds and wildlife, but it's important for those of us who live and work here. This project is vital to restoring and rehydrating our coastal wetlands that will provide protection from storms and are one of our best defenses to rising seas and climate change. It will also recharge the Biscayne aquifer that millions of us rely on as a source of fresh drinking water here in South Florida. And at Audubon, we know this will work. We have been studying the health of Biscayne Bay and its bird species for more than 3 decades. And because of our long-standing history here on Biscayne Bay, we know confidently that this Cutler Wetlands project, once online, will not only improve existing ecological conditions, but it will set an important foundation for forthcoming SERP projects like BBCR, a project that will deliver scaled benefits to this area, Biscayne Bay, Biscayne National Park, so long as we continue to fight for its future viability by holding the line. And it's my great privilege to be here today, and it comes at a critical time, this project, where restoration momentum is moving forward for the Everglades. We are seeing unprecedented momentum, historic levels of funding from the state and federal government, and we certainly can't stop now. And so with that, I'd love to thank all of our wonderful agencies here today at the state and federal level, Biscayne National Park, the Water Management District, the Army Corps of Engineers, Miami-Dade County, and the village of leaders in our NGO community and our scientific community that have shepherded this project forward. Thank you so much for your enduring commitment to a restored Everglades and for our shared vision of a healthy and prosperous Biscayne Bay.
Thank you, speakers. It's my turn. So, this is the canal right here that when it's raining, discharges harmfully in the Biscayne Bay. So the pump station is upstream of this canal. It pumps off the canal over to the 1,700 acres of wetlands to the north of us, rehydrates those wetlands, and what you're seeing at Deering Estate, you'll see here at Cutler Wetlands. Very exciting. For those of us that have spent their career in the environment, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. And I assure you, Kelly, groundbreakings aren't free. Just saw Sean Hamilton, who I call a couple of times. Say, hey, need more money, Sean. Anyway, I'd like to recognize our 2 project managers that are here from the Water Management District, Nicole Niemeyer and Matt Howluck. It's in your hands now. What I'd like to do is ask all the speakers, the governing board members, county commissioners, General Hibner, to come up here and let's break some ground.